Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you from Spice Academy to having us here today. And thank you also, Jens. So I'm Behnaz. Actually, this is the topic, and this is the question actually I ask myself, because we are all aware of this big elephant in the room. It's actually not the big elephant, it's actually the main character right now, the AI. So I wanted to share some personal experiences and the journey I took from changing my career from finance to software engineering and then later data engineering. So yeah, let's go. So let's go back to 8 years ago. This is me happily printing my first statements. Actually, this is kind of like a summer camp for the university that I started back then, for actually learning, for the people who had like no exposure to code or haven't tried anything related to software engineering, actually to get familiar with Python. And this is like really my very, very first interaction with code. And back then there was no AI. We were just left with documentations, Stack Overflow, and but the picture looks very happy, but was I really happy at that time? Actually, the answer is no. I was struggling like shit. Actually, to actually tell why, I have to go back to tell you who I am. Actually, I studied finance, a bachelor of finance at University of Tehran, Iran. I'm Iranian. And I worked 4 years in corporate finance in Iran, and then came to Berlin in 2016 to get my master's degree. And I studied international business and finance at HTW Berlin. And at that time, I was working at Zalando as a working student because I had this finance experience and the knowledge. So I was like, yeah, making money and studying at the same time. Then there was a workshop at Zalando for like non-techie people. We are talking about 2018. That they were like talking about machine learning for non-techie people, introducing this topic. And this workshop was like including, like, so they were explaining very high level about what is machine learning, what are models, some like giving some information related to, I don't know, statistics, mathematics. And since I had this kind of information and knowledge from the studies that I had in finance, we have also a lot of statistics and mathematics. So I was like, could follow the path a little bit. But then after that workshop, I was like, okay, I feel like this seems to be the future, and I want to be in. But like how? Because I was like really, really out of the scope completely. So like tools I was working with was Excel. So, and then, I did some actually researches about how to do this. If in Germany, like I was aware of these type of academies or like boot camps, but I knew that like I had the feeling that I need to build this foundation like very correctly. So I would just like didn't want to participate in like 6 months, like 1 year kind of training and become an engineer. So I was like, okay, I want to do something serious. Since I also had the opportunity to just continue my work, like because I finished my master and I could start working full-time in finance. I took the risk and I said that like, I want to search for software engineering actually degrees and start doing that. So I searched a lot. Most of the bachelors in Germany are in German, and my German sucks. So I decided to search more, and I found that Zalando innovation manager had a talk with the founder of our university, University of Applied Sciences, and they were offering some 3 bachelors: software engineering, product management, and interaction design. And I just like applied. Let's see what happens. And after like 2-3 days of admission, I finally got in as a student to get my software engineering degree. And, but I was thinking to quit that every second week, because at least for the first 6 months, the reason was, that's why I was not really happy at that moment in that picture, because the pressure and the, I don't know, the unknown was so big to me that it was really hard to manage. Because also in that university, the people who were like, get into that university were like, I don't know, the guy was, oh, I developed my first application when I was 14 years old. And I got to that university, I was 29 years old. Please don't calculate my age now. So I was like, OK, so this is already a big distance between me and the other people who might we all get into this industry. OK, but yeah, try to stay sane and like not to quit, actually. And also the gender gap back then was very real. I don't know, we don't talk about it right now, like the male to female ratio in the tech industry anymore, but back then that was a big topic. And you could also see that, like from the, I would say 50 students that we got into that year, like only 5 were girls. And from that 5 girls, 3 of them dropped out. So it was like me and 2 other girls who stayed. And that was also like giving you a little bit of pressure. Oh, maybe that's not for me. Maybe this is like, yeah, I don't belong here. Like this imposter syndrome was like really big. And also being an international student, I had to work 20 hours per week, and also at the same time studying full-time at the university was adding just like extra amount of difficulties. But I didn't quit, luckily. So, and, but one thing I did that like, I started to become familiar with the German market, with the companies, and I tried to use like my previous knowledge to get into the tech companies, not as a software engineer, because I didn't have the knowledge yet, but I started to kind of like slowly going into the positions, getting myself closer to the engineers, product owners. Like the first role that I had like after actually Zalando, which was my finance role, was being like, I was helping like an agile coach. And that was the moment that I really understood that like the working environment between the engineers, product owners, and designers in a tech company. And like after that, I went to another company. And then again, I could land as in a scholarship program with Axel Springer. In a free tech academy, they had a program, so I had to work as a. Yeah, there I worked. It was the first time I worked as analytical and data engineering, and how I land in the data engineering. It was like I did a lot of projects in the university. Actually, that was the main thing I had to mention. That the good thing about the university was that like we had to work on real-world problems. And in the very beginning, we had to form groups that was resembling the real engineering product design setup in the company. So all the modules that we had to present or take the exam kind of had to be presented in a real-world project. Imagine like unit testing, I don't know, front end, back end, whatever, data science. And I did a lot of data science project there. and also getting more knowledge about software engineering. And for me, like data engineering was this sweet spot because I could have the engineering aspect and also I would not lose the connection with the data. So now I'm working as a data engineer at Diconium. But I think a lot of things has changed. So I asked like this question that, if I would have started today, first, would I do the change or not, honestly? Would it be easier, faster, or like less painful, or even like, I don't know, just being different? Actually, I thought about it a lot. I didn't have any solution or any concrete answer for that till last week. I saw a podcast. If you know the Diary of the CEO, Stephen, yeah. So he was interviewing Dara Khosrowshahi. He's the CEO of Uber. He actually kind of saved Uber from a very shitty situation, and now is like Uber is super profitable. So he actually, and in this conversation, he gave me the answer. So I took that part of the interview, and I think that is the answer. So I don't know how much you agree or disagree with the statement, but I think I totally resonate with that. And I think that is also what happened to me. And I mean, based on German standard, maybe now I'm a bad influence saying like, do not plan, but, as we have to plan everything here. But I think one thing, like AI will change everything, all like our learning experiences, our career changes, our actual careers. But like one thing which stays, I would say, constant is that like having curiosity and openness will actually, with or without AI, is the key, in my opinion. So yeah, the hard truth is that like AI would make things easier, but really not effortless. At least right now, unless that like in the future there would be something that get injected to our brains and do all the thinking and whatever we are doing as a human. But we still need to have like curiosity, consistency to learn, and problem-solving mindset, and knowing that like asking the right questions to see that where it leads us.
Yeah.
So to sum it up, basically, the lessons that I actually got from my transition and I can share with you is that for me personally, getting comfortable with being lost and sit with the unknown was the most difficult part in the whole journey, because there was so many unknown for me. Like every semester I was like, okay, maybe I'm getting better, but no, something else was coming up. So that was the skill that kind of I had to develop. And the fastest and I think the most efficient thing to learn tech in whatever aspects or, I don't know, major you want to go, is like to do real projects and always think about how I can solve a real world problem. I did some, like, for example, we developed like an application back then in, when there was Corona, like an application which was helping the women who are suffering the domestic violence. So it was like a real topic which popped out in Corona time. And that was like actually a project that, I don't know, I got some courses with front-end unit testing, back-end, and these kind of things, but it formed in a real-world project. And always the previous career is really not a weakness. It always helped me. and it's really like a flex. You just need to use it in your favor, and really it's not that like be shameful of like not having like 20 years of experience in this field, but you always bring something else to the table that the other person who has like 20 years of experience may not have. And again, being curious and open to unfamiliar opportunities, like that workshop, like if I was like, okay, it was something, okay, whatever, and if I would not think about it twice, maybe I wouldn't be here like in this state. And another thing about imposter syndrome, especially for women in the tech, is that it doesn't go away, it just evolves in another form. And yeah, as we know, the only constant in life is change. And my very last note is a very favorite quote from David Bowie. I really liked this when I was a student. I had it in my room. So it's saying, always go a little further into the water than you feel you are capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth, and when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you are just about in the right place to do something exciting. That's it. Thank you very much.